Hello, I am Suchi from SahiGST. Today we are here to help you with details of GST return form 3B. In this video, we will help you understand different aspects of this form. Before we begin with the explanation, we will give you an insight on what the form 3B is all about. As per Rule 61.5, where the time limit for furnishing of details in Form GSTR-1 under Section 37 and in Form GSTR-2 under Section 38 has been extended and the circumstances so warrant, the Commissioner may by notification specify that return shall be furnished in Form GSTR-3B electronically through the common portal, either directly or through a facilitation center notified by the Commissioner. Simply put, GSTR-3B is a self-assessment GSTR return where taxpayers need to fill all details and pay the due tax based on self-assessment. For the months of July and August 2017, a press note has been issued wherein for the said months, GSTR-1 and 2 will be filed only in September. Thus, Form GSTR-3B containing the summary of inward and outward supplies will be filed for July and August 2017. Form GSTR-3B due date for July 2017 is 20th August 2017. Form GSTR-3B due date for August 2017 is 20th September 2017. Before I begin the analysis of the form, here is a quick information of the various kinds of taxes levied under the GST regime. In case supplies are made in the course of an interstate sale, a single IGST rate will be levied. In case supplies are made in the course of an intrastate sale, the tax will be equally divided between CGST and SGST. And in case supplies are made within the Union Territory, the tax will be equally divided between CGST and UTGST. Now we will analyze the various tables. Year is the financial year for which the return is being filed. In this case, 2017. Month. Over here, you have to mention the month to which it pertains. GSTN. Over here, you will enter your GSTN. Legal name of the registered person. The registered entity's name would automatically be displayed once the GSTN is entered. Table 3.1. Details of outward supplies and inward supplies liable to reverse charge. Here you have to mention the summary of all outward supplies which are bifurcated into A. Other than 0 rated, nil rated and exempted. B. 0 rated. C. Nil rated, exempted. D. Inward supplies liable to reverse charge. And E. Non-GST outward supplies, that is the ones that do not fall under the ambit of the GST regime. Just for your information, on 0 rated supplies, input tax credit can be claimed, whereas on nil rated or exempt supplies, input tax credit will not be available. Table 3.2. Of the supplies shown in 3.1a above, details of interstate supplies made to unregistered persons, composition taxable persons and UIN holders. From the supplies mentioned under the above table, here the details of supplies made to unregistered persons, people registered under the composition scheme and supplies made to UIN holders need to be mentioned. understanding columns, place of supply. Here, details of place of supply, that is the name of the state or union territory where the supplies are made, is to be mentioned. Total taxable value. Value of taxable services or goods sold or supplied calculated as mentioned under 3.1 above for the above category needs to be provided. Amount of integrated tax. Value of integrated tax, that is IGST, needs to be provided.
Table 4. Editable ITC. In this table, you need to report your input tax credits. Understanding rows. ITC available, whether in full or part. Import of goods. IGST paid on goods imported needs to be mentioned here. Import of services. IGST paid on import of services needs to be mentioned here. Inward supplies liable to reverse charge, other than 1 and 2 above. If you have purchased any goods or received any services which are liable to reverse charge, that is, where the onus of payment of tax falls on the receiver, you can report the same here. Inward supplies from ISD. ISD stands for Input Service Distributor. In case a business has multiple units and is supplying, the input service distributor will allot the relevant input tax credit to each such unit. The details of these need to be mentioned here. All other ITC. ITC available on domestic inward supplies and any other credit as may be applicable and not mentioned above needs to be mentioned here. ITC reversed. As per Rule 42 and 43 of SahiGST rules, inputs, capital goods and input services which are used for making exempt, nil-rated supplies will have to be reversed. Rule 42 pertains to the manner of determination of input tax credit in respect of inputs or input services and reversal thereof. Rule 43 pertains to the manner of determination of input tax credit in respect of capital goods and reversal thereof in certain cases. Others, any other credit that needs to be reversed. Net ITC available. This is the difference between A and B as calculated. Ineligible ITC. As per section 17.5, there is a list of certain specific goods and services on which input tax credit will not be available. For information, you can visit the link as mentioned in the article. Others, any other credit that may be ineligible.
Table 5. Values of exempt, nil-rated and non-GST inward supplies. Understanding rows. From a supplier under composition scheme, exempt and nil-rated supply. Here, details of inward supplies received from composite dealer and also goods and services exempt or liable to nil rate needs to be mentioned. Non-GST supply. Goods or services which do not fall under the ambit of GST needs to be mentioned here. Table 6. Payment of tax. This table will be auto-populated once the other tables are filled. The outward tax liability will be paid through ITC from column 3 to 6 and the balance will be paid in cash. For the months of July and August, the details of TCS and TDS need not be provided. And hence, for table 6.2, TDS, TCS credit, The details will not be provided for the months of July and August 2017.